Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Doujinshi, and welcome back to another episode of Hentai Reviews, the only series online where we have as much consistency to our upload schedule as the average JonTron. That being said, at least we still upload. Relatively close. Come on, man, you've been gone for a whole bunch of months, and you're funny as fuck. I want to see what you're doing. But moving on to the next series, I do apologize for the weird upload schedule. Oh, even if this is just like a background thing that you see at the end of the day and you're like, oh, cool. And then you click on it just to see what's going on. And 46 subs ain't bad. Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time since we lost a sub. But 47 was amazing, and 46 is still just as good. Some people just don't like what I like. Some people just don't like it, or just feel like they've outgrown what I do, and that's completely fine. Some of us just stop watching stuff. Like, I stopped watching Jacksepticeye. Not because I don't like him anymore, but he's just not for me anymore. But on that note, let's go ahead and get into the review. The reason everybody's here, except, the kind of reason everybody's here. I'll get to that in a little bit. Yeah. So today we're going to be doing episode 2 of Masterpiece, a series recommended to me, or at least the first episode recommended to me, by a special friend overseas. Yes. Well, not overseas, he's in an American base. Crusades can be held anywhere, and good luck with you. Done by our friends over at Pink Pineapple, running at 30 minutes and 17 seconds. Pretty damn long. With 19 categories total, and notable of which are MILF, plot, and a harem. Something that normally in the 3D world are not as hot as you'd think, but MILFs in anime are a gift from Jesus Christ himself. Starting off with the actual plot of the whole thing, the main character from the last episode, you know the setup. The main character, the two different personality but relatively similar looking females, and the mother, who didn't get a lot of screen time throughout the whole thing. They're both vying for his attention while both actively receiving the same amount of it. Now they're setting up for a festival, in which case there will be a cafe, as is anime trope tradition. Half the class votes for, hey, we want a demon one, because everybody knows, don't you want to go to a demon cafe? No? Because nobody's ever heard of it? Congratulations, you're like the rest of us. Or go to an angel cafe, the exact same thing, but with a Christian undertone. Half the class says one thing, the other half says the exact same amount of the other thing, and there's really no way of determining it. Notably, one sister is on one side, the other sister is on the other, and it kind of leads to a split decision of the main character actually being the one who has to decide. He goes over to the Demoness Cafe, who finds out that it is extremely lewd, and I'm pretty sure this is a high school thing, so that's... holy shit. Yeah. In which case, he gets pulled away, and then goes over to the Angel Cafe, where despite not being as lust-filled, demonically horny, it is still just as horny. I don't understand why, but good luck. After being around that area and almost getting sucked into a certain part of a waitress, if you know what I mean, he gets pulled away by the two characters who kind of interrogate him on whether or not which one is the better of the two. So, getting lewder and lewder by the second, it eventually leads to scene number 1, running from 4 minutes and 30 seconds with a brief interlude at the 7 minute and 15 second portion, all the way till ending at 11 minutes and 15 seconds. 5 minutes and 45 seconds, not half bad if I do say so myself. Then it moves on to both the sisters telling him that he can't be around other girls as they leave because they three both know that he's a bit of a player. There. So naturally, as soon as he leaves, the mom is like, "Wow, I can't believe they're gone," and then lifts up her skirt. "I can't believe they're gone." Leading to scene number 2. With 12 minutes and 20 seconds to 13 minutes and 55 seconds. A relatively shorter one, but notable of which that there is a lot of foot stuff. I'm not super into that, but I feel like it was just weird enough for me to mention it. It then cuts to summer on the beach, and it's exactly what you think. Wow, this bathing suit is a little revealing. Let's go over there so I can change. They go behind a rock and immediately get to it. In scene number 3, running from 15 minutes and 10 seconds to 17 minutes and 35 seconds. A little bit longer than the last, and most of these I left the stupidest notes, like blank sex with the mother, in quotation marks. Right. Afterwards, it then cuts to autumn, in which case they are in the middle of a phone call as the main character is with the mom the entire time, leading to scene 4, 19 minutes and 20 seconds to 21 minutes and 50 seconds, notable of which there is a lot of butt stuff. There is nothing but stuff. Funny jokes. We've got them. It then cuts to them in the shower of what is essentially a workout room, or a public pool, because she's in a bathing suit, and he showed up to say, hey, and she's like, hey, and then his boner's like, hey, in which case, scene number 5 kicks in, where it does that classic anime trope of, hey, or the classic hentai trope, of someone knocking on the door. She opens the door slightly and says, hey, I don't think I'm going to be able to come out anytime soon, so could you just give us a few minutes while the guy is going to work? Just barely out of frame. And with scene 5 running from 22 minutes and 35 seconds to 26 minutes flat. Holy shit. There it is. Okay, we're on 5 scenes. In which case, it leads to a point of this entire time when they show the mother, they show that every time she wraps her hands around them, there's a little bit of a glow on her hand where her ring is. I'm assuming a wedding band because there's not a lot to it, and there's no noticeable gems. So I think it's kind of her stating that she was married at one point, and that's how the daughters came around, obviously. But has since moved away or is dead. After cutting to it, there's a little bit of a... It then cuts again to another scene of them, of the main character and the mother. They're going up after a party. She's all dressed up, and so is he, and they both get together, and it starts to become a little bit lewder, and she says, oh, but if I take off this band, then I'll be yours forever. Never. And he's like, you're hot as shit. Of course I want that. She's like, you sure? He's like, yeah. And she's like, alright. And then takes off the ring. And as soon as she does, she kisses him. Door opens up. The 2 sisters that have been gone the entire episode disappear, or reappear, and say, hey, what's going on? And then it ends with all 3 of them snuggling up together as the main character is like, oh. I shat where I ate. In which case, it ends. Now, personally, this is a pretty good series overall, and although it may be short, it does make up for a lot of what it's lacking, with a good amount of variation, even if they only have one character to work with throughout an entire episode. But let's go ahead and get into more depth than that in the reviewing section of it. Let's go ahead and cut to that slightly different 3D animation I put over a random title. Take it away. Thank you. Alright, now on to the first one. Animation. Decent, but nothing special, and I'm going to be a little bit harsher on this one, because the first one was pretty good, but it was nothing special itself. Well, the fact that there wasn't like any noticeable points, there was one point, but I feel like it was a girl on top, straightened back, and guy lying on his back. The way that she moved, you could actually see like the rolls of her stomach as it went down, and that's a nice detail, but I feel like that's not enough to justify a higher score. Not to say that this was a perfectly average across the board, but it did have a little bit of moments with the fact that these characters are drawn pretty well. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 when it comes to the animation. Now, to the characters. The characters are so bland And one note, that the fact that they're there at all, the fact that you like understand what type of characters they are, is completely reliant on the first episode. And there's not really much to go on with the first episode either. The characters aren't all that special. I wouldn't say they're anything horrible. If they're horrible, then they at least have some fun to them, but it's not super great. Hey, honestly, I'd give them a pretty forgettable 5 out of 10, where they hit just the meter of the road. They could be mixed in with a whole bunch else, and really you could replace them if you wanted to. Now, what we're really here for, the plot. There's numerous amounts of them throughout this entire thing. There's 5 total scenes in all, and each one of them has a little bit of a gimmick to it, with one of them being a 3-way between angel, demon, and the next one having some foot-related things, next one being butt stuff, the one after that being kind of a secretive sort of thing, and that's appreciated when it comes to the variety of the entire thing, but overall, I'd say variety isn't really the spice. Variety is the spice of life, but variety does not a compelling scene make. So, overall, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Above average to make sure that it was good enough to watch, but not necessarily great when it doesn't really try anything new. And with very little characters to work with. It's not like they're working 20 minutes to give you a 6-minute scene that has been paid up or that has been built up with a payoff to it, like 𝕳𝖊𝖓𝖙𝖆𝖎, but it mostly intersperses itself throughout a lot of it, and it's appreciated. So, overall, I would give this series a bit of a lesser score than its original, but I wouldn't say it was a bad time. I didn't waste any time, I didn't hate what was going on, and I did feel like it was better than the worst. So, 6 out of 10, and I wouldn't say I'd recommend it, but I wouldn't stop you from, hey, I'm gonna watch the second episode of Masterpiece. I would say, alright, go ahead. Not gonna stop you. But until next time, I would like to say that the reviews are gonna keep coming out as they have been, and I am still thankful for 46 amazing people who have just decided that I'm worth their time. There are people out there with 33 million subs, and I don't know if they can figure out everybody that's there, but I'm sure they remember back when it was 50. And hopefully one day I can make it to 50 as well. Now, 100 is great, but 50 is a starting place. And thank you all for being here for a part of my journey. So, until next time, I have been the Doctor. Thank you all for being here. Have a nice day. Don't be a dick. There's too many. And wash your fucking hands. I have been the Doctor. Peace.